Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. It is good to see you. Good evening. It's Monday night. Normally, I'm doing these on Tuesday, but I thought that Monday night actually suits my schedule a little bit better, so it seems to be working out for Monday, so that's why we're here. It doesn't matter. We'll get together when we get together, whether it's on the weekend or out at the shed doing some shop talk or right here. But first and foremost, hopefully we meet face-to-face at either one of the events that I put on, or you come out on a charter, or I just run into you down at the local grocery store, whatever it is. I'm glad you guys are here at the live, but it's always good to see you guys face-to-face. So thank you so much for being here for it. I love the sport. I feel the love. I feel the love. So good evening, Brian. I saw that you're the first comment in the group. Thank you for showing up early. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think everybody is just about done with winter, so you're not on your own at all. I think we are all ready to get back onto the lake, the best place on the earth. So do me a favor, guys, in the chat, let me know. Can you guys see everything? Can you hear everything? If there's any glitches, any issues at all, please let me know right away, and I will fix them as best I can. So if it all sounds good, let me know. And if there's any issues, everybody let me know if there's any issues at all. But so checking in with chat here. I see Mark. I see you. Good evening, sir. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Al, I see you. It's good to see you, buddy. I've been well. How have you been? I got a lot of time here at the house just doing the business side of things. So, nothing real exciting to talk about there. I have not been on the water too much. I have not been on the water, period. So that's not what we're going to stream about. That's not what I'm going to talk about tonight. I have something a little bit more, we'll say that it's more applicable to every fisherman. So we're going to talk about equipment a little bit. But other than not being on the water, I've been good. Been really good. I'm getting fit. I've been training. All right. So, all right, everything sounds good. I appreciate it. My roommate James just chimed in to let me know everything sounds good. All right, so check it out, guys. At the beginning of these, I've been trying to do like a countdown. So we'll start with, let's just start with 10 tonight. So 10 in the chat. I'll show you what it looks like. You just go into the chat, you plug 10 in, and you send it. Now the next person puts in a 9, and then an 8, and so forth. And we just go down. We bring the count down. What that does is two things. One, it gives you a countdown, lets you know when about the stream is going to start, so that people can figure out that it's live and everything. And number two, it tells YouTube that it's an interactive chat, and it drives the algorithm a little bit, so that helps the channel out. Anything I can think of to help you guys support this business that I got going on that doesn't cost you anything, I'm going to throw all that stuff out there. And hopefully you guys understand that that's what this is. We're just trying to make a business out of it. So we appreciate it. All right, good deal. We're all the way down to 7 already. So good. We'll just keep it. We'll give people just a minute to figure out that it's live. And you can share this. You can share this on Facebook if you want to. And that lets people in your circle know, people that I don't necessarily talk to. And maybe it's something they're interested in learning about too, so they can come over. So we'll just give them a couple minutes to kind of, everybody kind of get caught up, if you will. But it's good to see you guys this evening. I got a simple note outline for tonight, so there's not a lot to go off of here, and I'd like that. I kept it like that because I have a segment, if you will, that's going to take a little chunk of time, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. The people who like to work with their hands, get in the shop, the fishermen I think that I run into over at Lewistown Lake, one of the things that we all seem to share in common is we like gear. So I like to do some chatting about gear tonight. Specifically, I'm going to talk about fishing reels. The reels that I use, I have them linked down below if you guys want to check them out. I'm going to talk about them in a little bit too, because they just came out with a new version of this reel that I love, and I want to talk about it with you guys too. Go ahead, give me a countdown. Who's got a 6 for the chat? It's okay if you said 6 before, or if you already did a count, you can do one again. It's not a big deal. Make sure my phone's shut off. All right, we're good. But, so the reel that I've been using, it's the Okuma Cold Water Low Profile Reel. And it'll handle everything that is at Lewistown Lake. And it's the reel that I use for all my rods
for my charters and such. It'll handle every fish out there. So it's the one I'm recommending to everybody they get. It's very economically, it's affordable, and it's a quality reel. That being said, every piece of machine or every piece of equipment we have is going to have a tendency to break down over time, because nothing lasts forever, as they say. So I'm going to take one of my reels tonight and I'm going to break it down with you. We're going to go over it. I'm going to show you how to keep it lubricated, just kind of get inside the guts of it. And I have a bunch of them here. Most of them work just fine, but I have one that is particularly messed up. I really don't know what's wrong with it. So I'm going to open it up and we're going to get under the hood and we're going to kind of discover what is wrecked about this reel, and we're going to do that together. Well, let's see. How far into it? We're about 8 minutes in. We'll give it till like 10 minutes in. If you guys are catching up to the stream late, then just fast forward to about 10 minutes, and that's where we'll be starting at. So I have, I guess, a few things I could talk about while we're kind of waiting for this to get started. Is this Saturday. So this Saturday, I'm going to have the first event of the year. The first event of the year is a real simple one. It's pretty low key, and I like it that way. I'm not going to do any special announcement. I'm not going to do what do we call it? An events listing on Facebook. Nothing like that. It's just going to be word of mouth here on this video right now with the live stream. And if I kick out a doc update here this week, I'll put it on there too. But the event is real simple. It's this Saturday, and it's the Sportsman's Luncheon. This Saturday, the Sportsman's Luncheon, right at lunch. So right at noon, 12 o'clock noon, and it's going to be in Huntington there at the Best Way Pizza. The Best Way Pizza, it's kind of like right there beside Sheets. It's in the plaza back just across the street and behind Sheets over there. But the Best Way Pizza at noon, and we're going to do a simple Sportsman's Luncheon with just a couple of us. Most of us will probably be familiar with each other, and there's no cost to it. So just show up at 12 o'clock, and we'll stay for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I don't think it'll be much longer than that. And there's no cost to it, and it's just the cost of whatever you buy to eat. So if you get a couple slices of pizza, that is the cost of it. But we're just going to hang out and meet, and I might talk a little bit about what's going on at Lewistown and what to expect. But ultimately, it's supposed to be pretty low-key and simple. But the Sportsman's Luncheon is this Saturday. This Saturday. Is that the 8th? Yes, the 8th. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Rick, good evening. All right. Well, good. We're like 10 minutes into this. So why don't we, at least do something a little bit more productive here. I did want to, on the subject, before I jump into doing the real breakdown here with you. With the luncheon, if you guys have any ideas or anything you think that would be interesting to talk about at that conference, I'd be interested to hear what you think. Like if there's a specific subject you would like to hear me talk on. There's a reason I'm asking for that, is because it's something that there's a lot of things going on in my mind, as you can imagine. So it's not necessarily what I know or what I'm interested in, but what you guys would be interested in. So if you have any suggestions or anything, let me know. And for the conference, I will, just kind of polish up on it, make sure I have something to talk about for a few minutes. But mostly it's just going to be to hang out with everybody and maybe shake a hand. I will have, when I come down on Saturday, I will bring fishing lures too. I know a lot of folks don't like to do the shipping thing. So if anybody wants to just get them straight from me, my hand to yours, I will have a couple sets with me too. So, all right. I think that's good. With that all being said, let's talk fishing reels. Most of you know already, if you've watched my videos at all, that this is the reel that I'm recommending that everybody use. It is called the Okuma Cold Water. And this is a low profile, and it's got the line counter on it. So it has different options and stuff you can do for these. I got the left-handed version because I think the left-handed version is the correct version, but everybody has an opinion about that. So you get the version you like. I will say that with the left-handed version, it breaks down a little bit more simple than the right-handed version, because the right-hand version ends up with, well, anyways, it's just different. The way the mechanisms go together is slightly different. This one, I think, comes apart a little bit easier, but it's still a very simple reel. And I'll give you like 3 hits on this, 3 reasons I think you should get it. 1, it's not real expensive. So I don't want to call it a cheap reel, because it's not. So you spend, I think right now they're going for about $160, something like that, for the newer version of this reel. This one is obsolete. I have a bunch here that I just keep working, but the new one is, it's an upgrade. It is. I looked at the specs on it, and it's a little bit better than this one. But it's I'll say an entry, not an entry level, but it would be like a kind of like a middle of the road level of fishing rod. So whatever that is, or a fishing reel, whatever that means to you. But it'll handle everything on the lake, and so it's not real expensive. It'll handle everything on the lake. And then thirdly is that you can actually break this down and repair it. If there's issues with it, you can actually fix this reel up. So this is a reel that should last you a long, long time, with some minor maintenance each year, like over winter, like I do. And if you do have a part in here that breaks, and I kind of think that I think I have an idea what's wrong with this one. I have a couple that are in great shape. They work perfectly, but this one here has some malfunction to it. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But you can order parts to actually repair these. So you can actually fix these on your own. If you have that much ability, and you have these 2 tools. Those are the 2 tools that you need to be able to fix this reel. So it's a real simple reel to keep running, is what I'm saying. So that's my pitch on why you should get this reel, and you don't have to track it down. I linked it down below. I am an Amazon affiliate. What that means is if you go through one of the links that's below the video and you go and you shop on Amazon, I get a small commission from whatever you buy. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just a way of, again, supporting me without costing you guys anything. So I'd appreciate it. I see you guys actually following that too, so thank you. I appreciate all that, so thank you. All right, let's get into this. Do I want to... I'll tell you what, before I start taking this reel apart, I want to bring this... I want to bring up my window share here. I did the updates on my channel, of course, or on my my website, so you can go down and you can look at the calendar, and you'll see that my first dates, I'm going to be down in Florida here in March, but my first dates for chartering are going to be the first week of April here, and then I have a little bit of a break the second week, but most of April we're going to be hit up at the first week of April. So as of April 1st, I'm doing charters. So if you guys want to get out on the water with me, April 1st, you'll see the calendar is wide open. That's because it is wide open. It is available. And then the other date that I want to bring up, just so you're thinking of it, it's in your ear, or it's in your mind, it's in the back of your mind. The second week here, I'm going to be up at Lake Erie. Real easy to remember. It's going to be after the July 4th weekend. So after July 4th, I'm going to go up to Erie for about 10 days or something like that. So if you guys missed going to Lake Erie last year, don't miss it this year. The first opportunity to do that's right after the 4th of July. All right, very good. So I want to make sure you guys knew about that before I got too far into this video. All right, so let's do this. I think what I'm going to do is actually take this camera and point it down at the table, so you'll be able to hear me just fine, but then you'll be able to see my hands as I'm working on this. So my face isn't going to be in the video, but that's all right. All right, so here we go. I'm going to get you guys set up. So just give me a second. I'm going to get you guys set up so you can see what I'm doing, and then you guys can follow along. And the great thing is, if you get this reel, you can actually come back to this video and work through it with the video. So let me do this first. I have this other reel. This one works absolutely perfectly. The drag on it works really nice. So if you see me, I'm stopping the reel right here. And then as I tighten the drag,
It makes it more difficult to stop. Tighten it a little bit more, and I cannot stop that. So that is a hard drag right there. So it works really good. Really works well. The drag sounds good when I roll it. So it's pretty good shape. This one, on the other hand, if you look at it, see I'm tightening the drag. Still tightening, still tightening, still tightening. It's just not doing anything. See, I'm just stopping it with my thumb. So there's a problem with this reel. We got some issues with it. Let's get inside it and figure out what it's doing here. So I'm going to use, this is the oil and the grease that I'm going to use for the whole job. And this is linked below. Again, this is an affiliate thing, so you guys could check that out if you want. There are 2 tools you'll need. I have a simple screwdriver. This is one of those doubles. It's either a Phillips or a flat. And then I have a simple little adjustable here. But let's get this thing opened. Let's see if we can find the broken pieces. And mine's left-handed, so I have a lot of reverse threaded stuff. Oh, let's not break it first off. So let's get this little collar off. If you guys have any questions for me, if I'm going through this and I go kind of quick with something, just stop me, say something in the comments, and I'll just, I'll go back. And I'm going to try and keep this stuff on screen so you guys can see kind of where I'm putting stuff. But the handle's not a big deal, I don't think, because it only goes on one way, you know what I mean? So I can't really mess this one up. But you'll notice through the rest of this job, I'm going to keep everything kind of in order. It's like I don't want to get it out of order, put things backwards. Like there's little things like this little this spacer right here. It's flat, so it don't matter. But there's certain pieces to this rod or to this reel that have to be a certain orientation, so we don't want to mess them up. But those are pretty simple because there's no way to get them wrong. Let's get this thing off. I think I know what is wrong. So as I'm taking these parts off, there's little bits and pieces that, like this whole section right here, has to go on the same way that it came on. All the little spoons, or all the spacers and all the washers in here, they have like a concave or a convex shape to them. So we want to make sure they stay in that same order. So I'm going to set them there for now. Now, when I'm going through with the old grease, I'm not really trying to get rid of all the old grease. I'm just trying to get rid of the bulk of it, like most of it, if you will. I don't mind old grease being on there. I just don't want it to interfere with function. So I wipe this out. And what happens with when you go through the practice of wiping out the old grease, you end up getting rid of like little pieces of dirt, or even like pieces of plastic that might break off inside your reel or something. So if you put some grease, or if you do this and you wipe the grease out, look at it and see if you don't get some like little pieces of whatever, stuff that's falling apart on your reel. Now as I'm going over these washers, I'm just going to flip them over and down. Because again, they got to go in the same way they came out. And I can already see, I don't know how much you can see of that, but it's like there's little pieces of debris there on my finger. What that is one of my overzealous customers, one of my clients, really cranked on this drag until they just wrenched on it, and they probably just broke some of the teeth off there, which is no big deal. I don't mind. It's just that's where it's coming from. It just needs fixed. And I'm getting all those little pieces out of there now, so that stuff's all good.
these teeth in here are pretty whooped. They're pretty whooped. So I'll show you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to window share here with you. And I already showed you my calendar. I'll just bring up a new window here. I have, there's a site that I use for, hold on a second, where's it at? There's a site I use to order all my parts from. I'm trying to find my bookmarks. Where is my bookmarks? I don't know what happened to my bookmarks. I guess it's it here. All right. Is that showing up right? So I have this place where I go to order my Okuma parts from. And the great thing about this this world we live in now is there's 100 places where you can order this stuff or whatever. You can find companies that carry it. But what I'm looking for is that star drag piece. So I'm looking for this piece right here. And I've already got a few things I've ordered for my rod, or for my reel, but did I pass it? I probably passed it, didn't I? But what I do is, as I'm going through a reel, I'll come in here and I'll buy it. I'll just put it in my cart. Am I blind? But I'll put it in the cart as I'm going along here, and until I'm done kind of cleaning and polishing up everything, I end up with a cart that's got a few pieces in it. Alright, I gotta slow down. I think I just skipped over it. I know I saw one. But this is what you can do, and you guys can look at my, you can look here in the search bar and you'll see where I'm at. Well, I know they have it. I'll have to come back to it. But what I do is I just, as I'm working on my reel, I'll find the part that I need and I'll just search it, plug it in, and put it right in the cart, so that till I'm done with fixing all my reels and such, I have a shopping cart full of the stuff that I need. And I never order just one of them. I order 2 or 3 of them, because I'm sure that's not the only time that one's going to strip out. It is the first time so far, though. So let's get back into this. So I'll look at that. I'll look into that, like where I can find that and order it later. But I can see this is pretty chiseled out. I mean, these ridges, the teeth that are in here, they're pretty much just worn out. All right, let's open it up. This rod that goes across the back of it, if I angle it, you can see it a little better. You'll know you have it. You don't have it all the way loose whenever you can kind of squish it in there and stuff, because it has a little spring on it. See, it's got a spring on it. So now you know you got it all the way. Now the way this piece comes off, I thought there was another screw. No, there isn't on this side. Now this is the left-handed reel model, so left-hand reel. And the reason I like this is because the line counter, this section, it's detached. So all I have to do is remove that. And then to get this line counter off, you just flip this guy up like, like the DeLorean. It just kicks up like that. And you just wiggle it, and it comes right off. And you get into the guts of it. This piece I'm just going to set aside for now, because that's not the critical bit. Like to look at my gears and see if they look good, which they do. These gears right here are what would control the line counter and your clicker. And then you can just drop the spool out. The other side now to open it up is a little bit more tech, I guess. There's 4 screws. They're down inside here. I got 1, 2 inside. And then I have 1 way up in the front here. And then I have 1 on the other underside too. So this is important. The reason I'm pointing this out, if you guys work on these Okuma cold waters, it's important because these screws, these 4 screws that I'm going to remove, they're different. Specifically, it's this one right here, I believe. This one's the one that's very different. But just keep in mind as you're taking parts out that you set them down in an order that you can reassemble them. Kind of like I did with all these washers. But I'm going to go ahead and take the odd one out. I'm pretty sure this is the one that's the odd one. I'm just going to take it out first. Set it in the same pattern that it goes in. All right, so from my perspective, that's what it looks like. So if I hold it this way, I got this one, this one, this one, and this one's a different size. You might even be able to tell from the camera. But that one's a different size, so I put it there. Now there's one more screw, and it's out on the front side of this. Let me pull that one out real quick. All right, and that one goes just about there. So from my perspective, that's how those screws go in. 1, 2, 3, and then on the opposite side. So I'll just kind of leave them there. But if I did bump these or something, you could put tape down and you could set them on the tape. That'd be really good, or a magnet or something. But I'm just going to chance it and let them there because, you know, I like to live dangerous. All right, so I'm going to pull this off now, and it should just come right apart. You can see it's actually popping loose already. But the pieces inside here are, when you lift this off, they're going to be loose. So I figured out that I can actually set this on my wrench like this, and it'll hold itself up in a second. So that's just something I've been doing. It helps me work on it. Let's just lift this guy off. Now when you lift this off, there's a couple pieces down inside this shaft here, and they like to slip loose. So just keep in mind that they're in there, and sometimes I even do this. I'll lift it up and I'll push it out the top like that so that I just have it. Let me just set it down. And there is a spacer right on top of that too. I only know it because I've done it so many times. So I'm just going to kind of set it there for now. And then this guy comes right off. We'll set that over here. And here we are with all the glory of this rod, or this reel, exposed. So there's some cool stuff going on here. I'm going to bring the camera down just so you guys can kind of get a better look at it. I don't know if this camera is going to do real good, like zooming in real close to it, but how about if I do this just for a minute? Why don't I put it in here real close so you guys can get a, you know, whatever, a closer shot of it. It's not the best, is it? It's not the best. I'm working on it, folks. I'm working on it. Hang tight. Hang tight. We're going to get this just so. Oh, that's pretty fair. So what we have is a bunch of loose parts here. So this is all loose. We got springs in here. A lot of this stuff is just moving around. So if you start, if you tilt this sideways or something, everything's going to kind of pour out. And I think I like the view up above there. I think this is a little hard for you guys to see what I'm doing. Let me just stick it. Let me stick with this.
Do a little bouncing around with you guys, but I'm trying to do my best here for you. So you don't want to tilt it sideways or things will start to spill out and such. But two things. One, I want to take this apart and kind of just look at all the pieces. And then two is I want to actually grease and oil it up too. So I'm going to show you where to hit with grease and where to hit with oil. And I think the mantra while we're doing this is going to be grease on gears and oil for everything else. So if you were ever wondering where your grease goes, where your oil goes, just think grease on gears, oil on everything else. So I'm going to take this guy out right here, real careful like. And this is your drag system. So this is all important. We're going to actually set this aside. There's a whole thing I want to do with that. And then I want to look at our, I believe this is called the clutch mechanism, this bit here. This little piece here has a floating gear. It's kind of loose and stuff, so just be careful. This stuff all comes right off. It just kind of lifts up, and all those pieces just kind of come out together. So this stuff is not held down by anything. It's just floating in there and pinched in place. So it's precarious. Just be careful whenever you're messing with it. So like I said, I like to get rid of the majority of the old grease, and that's just because the grease tends to hold dirt, and I like to get rid of that stuff, and it makes me feel as though I've cleaned it out pretty good. And I think there's good reason for that, and I think you guys understand. So I'm just going to kind of go around and just kind of wipe up the excess grease. There's not a whole lot. This is a pretty clean reel right now. And then I'm going to do the first bit of my oil here on this shaft right here. This shaft right here is nothing but an axle, so it just floats there, but underneath it there is a bearing. So there's a bearing underneath there. So I'm going to use the red bottle, again linked below, but this is the oil. And I'm just going to put a drip in there, a couple drops, and then I want to spin this to kind of work it down in to that bearing. And then I like to do this. I like to actually use the napkin and clean it back up, and then reapply again and spin it. Really just kind of flush it out, and if there is any kind of whatever down in there, I just want to kind of get it out of there, that's all. So I got that pretty clean, and I can feel it. It feels really good. You guys couldn't tell, but as I spun that, there was like grittiness to it. So that the grit is gone now. So I just flushed it out with a little bit of oil, and I could feel the grittiness actually leave it. I'll do it one more time just for good measure. And I have no doubt that there's plenty of oil still down inside that ball bearing, so it's no problem. So there's nothing protruding on this side over here. It's just a little, you can actually see the little pocket in the body, and that's just a ball bearing. You can take this stuff apart sometime if you want to really investigate, but I'm not going to go that far with it today. The other thing I like to do is with the button back here. I like this. It's got a great click to it. It's a very satisfying reel to use too, because it has a nice solid lock to it. But I like to smoothen this up a little bit if I can too. There's a couple little mechanisms in here. Anything that moves, like this bit here, I like to put some oil on. And then where the plastic actually rides underneath next to the metal there, I like to do some grease. And you don't have to have this reel to make this make sense. You can apply this to your reels. Just think of it the way that I'm thinking of it with this one. If I have, like right here, I have plastic against metal right here. I'm going to put the smallest dab of grease there. You can barely see that. I'll change the angle a little bit so you can see it. But yeah, just a little bit of grease right there. And right there. And maybe even right back here. And then I'll just work this a little bit. And you see how it just kind of works that grease in? Put one in right here.
and work that grease in. And that gets that grease underneath that plate. You just want to work that a little bit. And then for this mechanism here, I'm going to put some oil right on top of that pin. Right there. Just a little bit. It doesn't take much. Oh, I felt that change. I can feel it. Just the click of it just cleaned up. Just cleaned up. That's a year of abuse from a charter running clients and such. You know, it's what we do. We beat these things up. You guys do it too. You can imagine how much I do it out there. So every winter, it's good to sit down and just give your equipment a little bit of love, a little bit of time. I also know that this goop right here. I mean, look at this. Look at that slime and sludge. Like these springs, they're nothing holding them but slime and sludge. So we're going to get rid of the old stuff and put the new stuff on. We're going to clean this up. Now this little piece of plastic actually has an up and a down. So you got to be careful again when you take it out. Just make sure you're putting it back in the same way. And it has to do with this little clutch pin or whatever you want to call it. In the bottom of it. Again, I'm just pulling the old grease off for the most part. And then I'm going to put down some new. So this piece is going to sit down right there. And so I already know that I want to put a little bit of grease on the underside of it. Just where it makes contact so that it slides, and then in the groove underneath so that that clutch can move freely. And there we go. We're putting it back together now. And I like to put a little bit of grease on here where the springs go too. I don't even think this is really necessary for, keeping it like in working condition. It's just nice when there's grease on there because now I can kind of handle it, and the grease kind of holds things in place just a little bit. And then while I'm here thinking of it, like I said, grease on gears. I'm going to go ahead and give a little dab of grease on that gear right there. And just for good measure, I'll put just the smallest dab on the other side as well. You don't need to overdo it because as that gear spins, it's going to distribute that everywhere. So let's just set this aside and try not to knock it down here while I clean this guy up. This is my clutch. So this is my drag. So this is what fights your fish for you. And when I take this apart, these have an order they go in. So I want to make sure they go back into the same order. So as I take them off, I'm going to get rid of that old grease and all the grime that's with it. And I'm not going to hurt these. These pads, you can upgrade and get different kinds of pads. I'm just going to use the same pads. I'm going to put them right back in. But I want to make sure I have all the stuff off of them. So if there's any gritty sand or anything from paddling and bassing, I want to make sure I get that out of there. You know, if you fish salt water, this is even more critical. So if you fish salt water at all with your gear, you know that it is very hard on the gear. I mean, one fishing trip will destroy, all your equipment. The salt is notoriously vile for your equipment. Destroys your stuff. All right, there we go. So these are just the clutch plates. So they're just, see how they're kind of like layered. So you want to keep them in that same pattern. And then this old black grease, I'm just going to get out of here. Oh, I forgot there's that one piece. And that little clutch or that pad there. There we go. So again, I'm just cleaning this thing up. Getting all the old grit off as best I can.
Now, there was a lot of grease on this, so it's not like you want to put it together with nothing on it. It does need some kind of lubricant on it, and we're going to go back to the grease for that. Again, flip that. Same way it came off, it goes back on. I think this is a good habit. Even if you understand your reel, just do it in that order so that you don't have a mistake. All right, so here we go. Flip that over. You don't need much, but we're going to put just a little bit of grease on like that. And think of it as like you're making, you're going to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich here. Or if you're Elvis, a peanut butter jelly and banana sandwich. Just a little bit, doesn't have to be much. Just enough that you know it's on there and it's not going to get seized. You can see if you did this, a few times, you'd get kind of quick at it too. Like, this is not going to take you, your whole weekend or anything. And here we are in the winter, and things are a little bit slower, and some people are going ice fishing and such, but I've found that a better use of my time has always been getting ready for the spring fishing season ahead. For me, that's been a better use of my time. So there we go. We have our peanut butter jelly and banana sandwich ready to go back onto our reel. And again, we got to remember, this can't move. We can't turn this sideways. So we just kind of like take our time and get this stuff all in there, back down in this shaft here. So they have the slots that are kind of shaped for this reel. So I'm going to kind of break it down and go one at a time. And try not to drop the stuff. All is good. I might be able to do this. We'll see. Let me do it like this. There it goes. That pad in there. Alright, let me stop there. Let me stop myself. I was getting overzealous, wasn't I? There we go. This one here has a little groove on either side, so it's got to fall in exactly such a way. But there we go. That looks pretty good. Don't fall over. Don't fall over. My hands are covered in grease right now. It's good. It's like you'll just grease it as you're going along then, right? Alright, so we got it put back together. And I have some grease on this little gear over here. And my springs are in place. But again, I want to take my grease and I just want to apply a little bit to each side of my main gear, just to make sure that that's getting distributed good. And you can even roll it around a little bit if you want to. Make sure you get that grease around that reel kind of all the way. It feels really good. So that's sitting in there really nice right now. Don't drop it. Don't drop it. Don't drop it. I keep saying that. I'm going to come back to this little guy here. So it's ready. And this one's real simple. It's just a little washer. And this little, well, I guess this is a spacer too. It's just a different kind of spacer. I like to clean the middle of this one out, so I try to do this little Q-tip type thing, because that's where the shaft of that shaft there is going to be, that axle or whatever. So I actually have two little washers here, so I got to make sure that I don't lose those, and I got to make sure they go on top. This tall one, if you look out on the inside, there's actually a little bevel on that side. See, there's a side of this that has to go up. You can see it just on the inside there. So there's an upside and there's a downside. The downside's smooth, but the upside has a little bevel there. So that one's going to go up. Now, this piece here that I took off just a little bit ago, there's not much going on. I could just clean out some of the old grease and check it, make sure I don't have any like clumps of plastic sitting around, which is common. Little pieces of plastic can break off your reels.
It's usually your drag or something like that. A tooth that's not critical. A clicker, you know. But inside this hole, if you look down in there, you actually have these, wrist pins. So these are bearings. They're long, like cylinder bearings. So there are bearings inside there. I don't pop these out whenever I do this, and I never had any malfunction, but I do wipe them out a little bit there. And then what I do is I take, because this is going to drop onto the reel just like that in a minute, right? What I do is I take this piece here with the two little spacers, and I'll take my grease and I'll just put some on the outside of this, because this is going to go against the wrist pin in the middle in a minute. So sometimes I'll just put it on the bottom like this, just a little bit, doesn't have to be much. Again, a little bit goes a long way. And then I like to just take it and slide it right, see where the wrist pins are? I like to just slide it right down inside there. And I'll even send it in a little bit shallow so that those two little washers sit down in there with it. So they're pretty protected. And with that, I think I'm ready to reassemble this side of the reel. Let me drop this down in place here. And very carefully, I'm going to put this down right over top the shaft. Now it's going to want to push this stuff out, right? So I got to find, I got to be patient here and make sure I don't lose my spacers and stuff. Make sure I get them down around. I might even just take these spacers off for just a second. Until I find the edges with this top one. There it is. It's fighting me a little bit. Maybe I'll suggest you do that right there. Got the two little rings here. So maybe put that sleeve, put that on there first maybe. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, that's a little bit nicer, isn't it? And I got my two spacers here. I'm just going to drop them on so I don't lose them. Drop them on so I don't lose them. I like it. I like it. Now remember this one screw that was the outside screw, the odd one? We're going to put that one on now so that it's securing this outside body. I got it, Mark. I got it. So we get this thing just snug down. I'm not torquing this at all. I'm just using like two fingers and just snugging it down. And I just want to look at it, see how it looks now. Inside here, you see this little gear. So if I turn the reel, if I turn this reel here, I can see that little the whirly gig starts spinning. You turn the whammer jammy, and the whirly gig inside there starts spinning. Technical names. Alright, so I have a couple screws in here that I got to put back in, but I already thought ahead because they're oriented exactly how I need them to be. And I'll go ahead and do the odd one first. If you guys are appreciating this video, do the thumbs up. I appreciate that. I try to do these how-to kind of videos once in a while, and I think we need to make them more frequent on the channel. If you guys agree, say so. I think the how-to videos are really helpful for a lot of people who don't get into it this serious, and then you find yourself having to do it. You can be like, oh, I remember Randall had a video about this. Let me go watch it. And these reels are linked down below if you guys want to have one. They're pretty simple to order from Amazon, and I'm an affiliate, so they give me a little bit of a commission from it. So I appreciate that too. And I think you'll be happy with these reels. I know I have been, and I use them a ton. If you have come on a charter with me, you have used these reels. So that all looks like it's going really nice in there. I think it feels sturdy. Feels really good. Good. Let me set that aside just for a minute. We're going to open up the line counter side real quick. Can somebody give me a simple report in the comments? What dock is open? What dock is open? I personally have not been down to see them, so I cannot answer that for folks. So maybe you can help me out here in the comment. What dock is open? What dock could you go to today and put your boat in at? See this black grease on here? That's grease that's been on there for 2 or 3 years. You know, it's just got to go. It's got to go. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have grease on it. It just means that I'm going to get rid of the old stuff. Get rid of all the dust and the little particles that are in there with it. Get rid of it all. And then we're going to put some nice new grease on it. Gives me a chance to look at the teeth. And if there's anything wrong with that gear or anything, I can just order that part off my website that I'm familiar with. A little bit of grease on both sides. Now, I want to point out that inside this this side of the body, when you're cleaning it out, it's easy to knock the clicker, and I'll show you in just a second. We'll get rid of all this old grease. This little finger in here, this is your clicker. So your little clicker button right out here. This is actually the culprit too, that usually your clicker on these reels is not real strong. They do tend to go out because this is metal, and then the clicker wheel, which is actually here on the end of this, on the end of your spool. So it's metal against plastic. And so that little clicker tends to break the plastic off. So you end up having to replace these plastic things. They cost $1. So it's not an expensive fix or anything, but that's a culprit there. And I think you can get those in metal. I honestly just haven't found them yet. It's been rumored though. It's been rumored. So we got the old grease out. New grease in. That clicker is in place. And it's important that you make sure that clicker is oriented whenever you dip this guy in there. If it's not oriented right, it'll get caught up and it won't go on. And you can check if it's right because it'll slide forward and back. Under a little bit of pressure with my finger, I can test it. And it's good. And then when I get these screws in, I'll test it again too. There's actually a little retainer, a little brass retainer clip underneath this plastic. And if you look at it, I'm actually like sinking it down. It's kind of popping up a little. It's got a little bit of play there. It's kind of like a little spring. And that's what that little plastic thing, or that little brass thing underneath there is doing. So it can get in the way whenever you're putting this back together. Just take your time, see if you get everything aligned. And then when you get these 3 screws in, give yourself just a moment to test it, and it should be okay. It looks like it's okay. Good deal. What's going to be interesting when I get this thing back together is to see if it actually is fixed, because I'm curious about this guy right here. wondering if I need to address that. So I might have this back open again before I use it, but I wanted to do a general overview, and I think that we're accomplishing that. And I think we're at assembly mode at this point. I'm going to drop the spool back in. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Stream is going a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I think it's a good stream. You guys enjoying it? And then this guy just falls into place. Again, it's the DeLorean door, right? So you got to kick it up. Kind of wiggle it into place. And then the DeLorean door comes down to close. That's it. And this piece, this little springy piece, you just got to put that. That's how you lock the DeLorean door. Maybe they should name this thing the DeLorean Reel. I'm going to call them up and see what they think. The DeLorean Reel. All right. Can't turn it with my hand. There it goes. Line counter spinning. So I must have got those gears in there right. Looks like it's assembled correctly. Let's go ahead and get these pieces back on. They go on the same way they came off. Reverse threaded. Oh, this thing is so toasted. I think that's all it is. I think the threads are just completely gone. I think that's all it is. I think I had a client that just got excited and just ripped that thing to bits. So the threads are gone. So this is the malfunction with this reel. It's as simple as it gets. Look at that. I can just rock it and it comes right off. Threads are just gone. So it's not even an option to tighten the drag on this. I cannot tighten it down. So this reel, everything internally seems to be working just fine. The threads here look really good. So I think they're all right. What this reel has wrong with it is this piece right here. And I swear I saw this piece. Let me bring this up here for real quick. I'm not sure how I could be missing this, because I know that I saw it earlier today when I was just cruising around. It might have been that it was a universal piece, and so it was listed on a different part of the site or something. I'm not sure. But it's just the star drag. It's not a complicated piece. I'm sure they have it. But nonetheless, like, here's all the body stuff. This here says assembly. I wonder if it comes with more. Comes with the power handle, just the assembly. It's just the power handle. Yeah, it doesn't have the star in it. Anyway, nonetheless, well, guys, listen. I don't want to linger on too long, but the star drag should be easy to replace. Yeah, absolutely. The simple thing is, it's this. We spend so much money on our fishing gear, and I think a big part of that is because we don't spend any time working on our fishing gear. And I'm not saying you can't just go out and buy a new rod or a new reel or something. If you want to do that, by all means, you can do that. However, I would say there seems to be a bit of a responsibility to our equipment that we should take a little bit of time. Because I think what I'm holding in my hand is about a $3 or $4 piece. And till I'm done going through all my reels, I'll order 2 or 3 of these. I'll order 2 or 3 of the gears that are typically breaking with this reel. And what I'll have is a little, I don't even call it a toolbox. It'll be a little plano box with all the parts that this reel needs. And I might have $100 into that. And if I have a reel that goes down, instead of buying a new reel, I can pop it open, replace the piece, put it back in. I could probably do that on the water if I needed to, certainly at the truck or at the dock. And you save yourself hundreds of dollars each year. And I know that I'm not the most frugal guy, but if I have the option to spend hundreds of dollars replacing reels or $100 fixing them all, I'm going to fix them all. And I think we should. I think we're very capable of it too. So I wanted to run through that with you a little bit to show you how simple even a complicated reel could be to diagnose. And you just open it up and you get it down to the bare essentials, if you will. You just take it apart and you'll figure it out, because this is the piece. Everything else was working right, and this is the one piece that just wasn't working right. And so it came together nicely. But that's the grease and that's the oil. It's linked below. I get a commission on that, guys. Buy it. It's good stuff. It's got the long needle heads on it too, which makes it really nice for applying. I think that's probably my favorite thing about them. The reel, the line counter reel that I have, the Okuma cold water reel, this is linked down below. I linked the better model of this because this one is not available anymore. So they have moved away from this. The gears that are being that have been a problem historically with this reel, they've replaced them with metal gears and pinions. So it's a true upgrade. It's a little bit better. They replaced the parts that are the most troublesome. So it's a better reel, and I think you're going to be happy with it. I am going to use mine while I have them, but make no mistake, as I replace these, I'll be getting the new one because it is superior to these ones. And I use those ones on the kayak casting, so they work as a casting rod. You can cast for striper at night. You can handle everything on the lake all the way up through, including walleye and muskie and striper and lakers. So everything will be caught on that, and we even catch a few crappie with them too. So listen, before we go, I want to do two things. One, I want to remind you guys that we have a page on we have a group. I'm trying to find it for you here. We have a group up at Foster Sayers, and you can see that the member count right now is at 123. And if you're not a member yet up at Foster Sayers, this is in Howard. So this is just north of State College, so it's right within striking distance. If you can go to Lewistown, you can go to Foster Sayers, and the crappie and yellow perch fishing up there is phenomenal, guys. Phenomenal. And they actually lifted the restriction they have on it too, so we're set up at standard crappie harvest restrictions up there, which makes you be able to harvest more and stuff too. But I do charter up there. If you guys want to go up and do some crappie fishing, give me a phone call. I'll show you all the hot spots. So there's that going on, and just also to remind you that this weekend, this Saturday, we're going to meet down at what's it called? Best Way Pizza in Huntington. Best Way Pizza over there beside Sheets, the plaza just behind Sheets, off to the opposite side of it near Giant. So Best Way Pizza right over there, right at lunchtime. We're going to hang out for an hour and a half, something like that, and just have a sportsman's luncheon. Very low key, very simple, just a couple of us getting together. I'll be surprised if there's 20 of us. So there's no cost to it, just whatever you guys choose to eat whenever you come out, that's what you would have. That would be your expense. So just the pizza. I want to catch up on the comments here before I sign off, though. All right, Brian, you did appreciate the video. Thank you. Appreciate it. Mark, appreciate the feedback. Thanks. Well, Mark, you might have been the client. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It might have been one of the kids. It could have been me. I don't know. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, hello, Matt's daughter. Good evening. It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Mark, you're probably a lot better on your equipment than I am. I do not maintenance them that frequent. Winter, that's my maintenance period. It's here in the winter. I got all my reels sitting on the desk right now. I'll go through them and I'll get them fixed up. I'll go through my tackle and throw away everything that I don't want anymore, you know. I like to clean out. All right. So yeah, Brian, the upgraded reel. Give me a second. Maybe I'll just bring it up here real quick. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, this is it here. So this is the upgraded reel, and I think what the main thing is that you're looking for is the stainless steel upgrades. The first 2 or 3 things that are listed there. Is this better if I do this? I think it's better. So yeah, like the stainless steel main gear, the pinion gear, the drive shaft, and the pull shaft, or the spool shaft. I think that they were stainless steel, though. I think so. So yeah, I mean, it's listed right here. You can follow the link just below and go check it out for yourself. And I'd appreciate it if you did that. The other thing is too, like I mean, does that reel not look good? It's got a good look to it. Looks like it's a stealth fighter. Like it's ready to handle some business. But it's got that heavy coating on it too. If you look at my reel, you'll see that it's it's showing some wear and tear. It's got scuffs, and it's the paint that's on it is like it's just a real thin, like just sprayed paint on it, but you can just see the edges are getting beat up pretty good. So I think this one here, they have this hard coating on it. It's black. It almost looks like powder coat. I don't know. I'm thinking it might be a little bit more durable. I'm not sure. But they are down a little bit in price. They list for $167 there, but they are down a little bit in price right now. So it's not bad. It's really not bad. For the quality you get with it, I don't think it's bad at all. That's just my opinion. You're welcome, Brian. Appreciate it. So I'm going to hang out just another 5 minutes. I'm going to say goodbye to anybody. If you have any questions or anything for me, let me know. Make sure you follow the links. Get yourself the grease and the oil. Get yourself a fishing reel. Whatever it is you normally need for fishing, just follow my links and then go do your shopping on Amazon, and they will send me a little commission. Thank you. I did like the dough burger. Yes, I did. That was your father. Okay, I got you. All right, now I remember. Okay. Mark, I didn't remember your name at first. I was like, Mark, and I'm sitting here talking with you and stuff, trying to put it together. You can imagine it gets to be a bit of a blur. Yeah, I didn't run into you this year. I will be back up at Lake Erie after the 4th of July weekend. I'll be up there for about 10 days. So I'll do 4th of July here at Raystown Lake, and then the next probably Sunday or Monday or something, I'm going to drive up. I'm going to be up there for 10 days. If anybody wants to go, either fishing here at Raystown or at Lake Erie, go to my website, randallrydes.com, and book a trip. Give me a phone call. Shoot me a text. Just start talking to me. You should have my phone number by now. You just go to randallrydes.com. It's all there. I'm going to start chartering at Raystown April 1st, and then Lake Erie after July 4th. Those are the dates to remember. Nice, Mark. That's something to look forward to, man. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, Jerry, that poor Richard's hat. I was at the secondhand shop right here in Lewistown, and I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, mine? I didn't even get it from up at the shop. He did give me a hat once, though. I was there for 2 weeks, and every day I was in his shop, so
I guess he was getting used to seeing me and was like, here, take a hat. So it was cool. I wore that hat out last year. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to sign off with that. Join the Foster Sayers page. Join me at the Sportsman's Luncheon this Saturday at lunch, and that's at Best Way Pizza in Huntingdon. And do stop by randallrydes.com and look at my charter dates, guys. Book a trip. Let's go fishing. And until I run into you face to face, much love. Much respect, guys. Have a great night, all right?